Okay.
Awesome. So you're just talking to me. There's not a camera here.
Okay.
This is very conversational. When we were talking about some staffing changes that we went through, you noted that you've been with Habitat for a while. Do you want to talk about why you first started?
Yeah, I started after I retired about 3 years ago, and I was looking for some activity that I could give back. My job as a physician prior to retirement was pretty consuming and 24/7 type of thing. And while I probably could have done more, now that I was retired, I knew I had the time to do something. And my hobby is woodworking, and I've built homes before of my own and done a lot of the remodeling myself, so I have some skills. So Habitat was a natural fit. And so yeah, so pretty quickly, right after retirement, I hooked up with you guys, and I've been doing it since.
Good for you.
Yeah.
What sort of woodworking was it? Like chainsaw sculptures or?
No, nothing that exotic. I make furniture.
Okay.
Furniture, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I do work with chainsaws too on my property. But yeah, yeah.
Good for you. About 3 years ago, you said you started,
Yep.
and the
Started to.
Habitat felt like a natural fit.
Yeah, it was really awesome. It was middle of winter. First job was on 6th Street, I believe, and it was like 20 below, and we were doing siding. And it was outside, and it was cold as heck, and it was painful, but it was still fun, and just really, working with great people.
Was that your very first day on a job site?
Yeah.
Hmm. Do you remember other volunteers or other staff from that day?
Yeah, I'm still working with Jerry, who was there. Of course, Curtis was there, and he's not there any longer. Greg was there. Stan. I'm not sure if they were all there that first day, but those first couple of weeks, quite a few are still working at Habitat. So it's been a nice, continuous relationship.
And you decided to come back after that first day.
Yes, I did. Although I dressed more warmly. Yeah, I think there was a little miscommunication that first day as to whether we were going to be indoor or outdoor, but but yeah.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you coming back again. Do you have a specific memory or an instance that sticks out in your mind that you remember fondly?
I mean, all of them. Every every time we go, something fun or different happens. It's such a great group of people to work with that it's always fun. I think one of the more uh, challenging days was also one of the more enjoyable days. It was strange that it was fun, and it was in Toma, and because of the nature of the setup, we had to fill a ton of gravel into the foundation to raise the water, to get above the water table, and they couldn't get equipment in. So it was like 90 plus degrees, and we were wheelbarrowing, tons of gravel into the basement, and then we would huddle for our breaks. We would huddle in a corner of the foundation where it was shady, and we were just whipped and exhausted. And there were a couple of young interns there, and a couple of us older guys, and we just. But at the end of the day, I was walking away, and Curtis said, thanks, I really appreciate it. And he says, in a strange way, it was really a good day. It was a fun day. So I like those challenging days where they're a little bit physically challenging and push us.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was the Toma home we had
Yep.
for a veteran?
Yep.
Yeah. Had you had Habitat done a veteran home before in your time, or was that the
No,
first
that's the
veteran?
only veteran home that we've done that since I've been involved. Yeah.
Gotcha. Did you get a chance to meet the homeowner or
Oh,
hear the?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, the father of the homeowner, Bill, was a frequent volunteer, and he would come down, and he would sometimes, I would sometimes bring venison brats that I had got to cook for lunch, and sometimes he would bring ribs that he would cook for lunch, and we just had a good relationship.
Well, I wish I was with Habitat at that time.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, you said you like the more challenging days. Is there a mistake you've made or something that had given you pause that you learned from?
Well, I don't know how much we learned from it. I'm not sure I would be able to do it right this time, but it was a funny time. It was on I think it was on one of the, it was on one of the on Alaska Street homes in La Crosse, and we there were three of us, Eric and Jerry and I, and the three of us. Three times we tried to frame out a window, and each time we got it wrong. And it was like, the first time I did the measurements, and then Eric said, "No, let me do the measurements. I'll get it right." And then we got it, and it wasn't right. And then Jerry said, "Oh, you guys get away. I'll do the measurements. I'll get it right." So finally, we had to get Curtis over there, and the fourth time was a charm. But yeah, we often joke that the difference between an amateur and a professional is a professional knows how to fix the mistakes. So. But we're learning.
Yeah. And they always say measure it twice, twice, cut once.
Right. Well, we measured it 3 or 4 times, but we never quite figured out why we were having troubles with it. But it got done. It got done right.
Good. Yeah. Good. There. You mentioned Curtis quite a bit, one of our retired construction staff, and you said you'd met the homeowner and her dad at the Toma house. Is there a Habitat staff, another volunteer, a homeowner that you think specifically has really stood out in your mind? They've inspired you, they've taught you something?
Well, yeah, I think mostly Curtis and Mike. I think they really embodied the mission of Habitat, of giving to the community and making a difference in the community and helping people become homeowners. I really valued their approach. They were always very kind and thoughtful and generous with their help. They were always committed to trying to produce an excellent product. It wasn't like, with Curtis, it was never, well, that's good enough. It says, no, we got to get it this way. It was very precise. So I think, that introduction, being introduced to Habitat with Curtis and Mike and Eric was a good introduction, because I really felt that they lived the values and just had a really nice approach to mentoring and leading.
Yeah. When you say you valued their approach, do you want to expand on that a little bit? Like what specifically you found helpful?
Well, I think it's just, the way they talked about what they were trying to accomplish, the producing a good product for the homeowners, the trying to create value with resources that are available, and they just always spoke very highly, of both Habitat and the new homeowners, and then they treated all the volunteers with respect, and they were good teachers and patient teachers. Just really was a pretty special thing.
Mm. Yeah. Thank you for the kind words. Yeah. You said Habitat was a good fit just because you had the skills and the background. Is there something about the organization and the mission that resonates with you too?
Well, I mean, the trying to do something local, something good locally, that's concrete for the community, I was particularly attracted to. I always try to stay engaged and, vote and try to give money back to the community when I can, but to be able to do something, concrete and physical that you can sit back and see, and that's going to impact somebody's life positively, spoke to me, and so I like that.
Literally concrete.
Yes.
Literally concrete.
Sometimes concrete, sometimes other, but definitely concrete, yeah.
So Mark, why did you humor me, and why were you willing to do this volunteer interview in the first place?
Well, I think just because I do believe in the mission, and I do believe in the organization, that if I could, and I felt like I could speak positively of it, if I could contribute and be helpful, I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
I've also done, one time I did because I wanted to learn about different aspects, I was part of the screening process where we go to homes of potential people who were applying for and wanted to be future homeowners, and they need to go through the application process. And there's all the behind scenes about the finances and stuff like that. But then there's the inspection of their present living circumstances to see what are their living circumstances, what is their level of need. And I did that one year, and that was interesting. A good way to get another view of the organization and what how this all comes to be.
Yeah, absolutely. That experience probably helped demonstrate that if you want to volunteer with Habitat, you don't have to just be on a construction site or just be in the restore. There's lots of things to do.
Right, exactly.
Nice. We're early, of course, and we're starting to wrap up. Is there anything else you feel like I didn't ask or that you really wanted to highlight?
No, I don't think so. I would say that one of the nice outcomes of this is a couple of my best friends now that we do a book club, we go biking, we go out to dinner as couples as well as just the guys, are from my meeting people on Habitat. So, it was a win-win for me in that I've created some really strong social connections that have improved my life.
Good. Have you ever heard of the concept of a third space?
I'm not sure, maybe.
Yeah, you have home, you have work,
sure. Yeah, I know
and then you
what
should
you're
have
talking
a
about
third space that you
Right.
feel connected with people.
Right.
So I'm glad that's been an outlet for you to make some
Right.
connections as
Right.
well.
Sure.
Any good books in your book club?
Yep.
But give me a title.
Well, this right now that we're reading "Out Stealing Horses" by it's a Norwegian author, and I can't remember his name, but it's a very good book.
Is it fiction?
Yes. Yeah, we
Okay.
pretty much do all fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah, historical fiction or fiction.
Good for
And
you.
we meet about once a month. So that's fine. And I mean, Curtis is part of that. So
Oh, good.
yeah, so I still
Good.
have connections with Curtis.
Yeah, we love Curtis. He
Yeah.
he was a huge help on the team.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. Cool. Well, thank you.
Yeah, my
This
pleasure.
This has been great.